Raleigh planned a third expedition, this time with a different approach. The new colony would be comprised of families, including women and children, seeking a new life. John White, an artist and friend of Raleigh, was appointed as the governor of this new venture. In May 1587, 3 ships carrying 117 colonists set sail for the Chesapeake Bay. However, the pilot of the lead ship, Simon Fernandez, had other intentions. He forced the colonists to disembark on Roanoke Island, the site of the failed 1585 colony. The colonists found the previous settlement in ruins, a grim reminder of the challenges ahead. They set about rebuilding, their hopes for a fresh start overshadowed by the past. On August 18th, 1587, a significant event occurred: the birth of Virginia Dare. She was the first English child born in the New World, a symbol of hope for the fledgling colony. However, the colony's supplies were dwindling rapidly, and the approaching winter loomed large. The colonists persuaded John White to return to England to plead for more supplies. He departed in late August 1587, leaving his family, including his daughter and granddaughter, behind. White's return to England was met with unforeseen delays, a cruel twist of fate. The Anglo-Spanish War had erupted, and all available ships were commandeered for the war effort. White's desperate attempts to secure a ship and supplies were repeatedly thwarted. 3 long years passed before White was finally able to return to Roanoke. Arrived on August 18th, 1590, his granddaughter Virginia's 3rd birthday. As he approached the settlement, a sense of foreboding filled the air. The colony was deserted, the houses and fortifications dismantled. There were no signs of a struggle, no bodies, no graves. The only clue was a single word carved into a post of the fort: Croatoan. The letters Crow were also found carved into a nearby tree. White knew this was a prearranged signal, indicating the colonists had moved to Croatoan Island. Croatoan Island, now known as Hatteras Island, was the home of Manteo's people. Colonists had established friendly relations with the Croatoan tribe. White was heartened by this discovery, believing his family and the other colonists were safe. However, a powerful storm was brewing, making a journey to Croatoan Island The story of the lost colony serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of colonization. It highlights the challenges of cultural encounters and the expansion. It is a story of hope, hardship, and the enduring power of a mystery. The search for the lost colony is a search for a lost race.